Here to see two Moto GP legends, and guys, I am absolutely thrilled and honoured to be a part of this lineup right now. Please join me in welcoming Chris Vermeulen and Kevin Magee. Guys, this is all about two wheels, of which I'm not an expert, whereas you guys are. You are the voices of MotoGP after stellar careers yourself. So let's roll it all the way back, Chris Vermeulen, and talk about what draws you to this just incredibly scary sport.
I don't know about scary, but probably like most people that ride motorbikes, it's the passion, you know. And my dad was into motorbikes, and from 2 years old, I had a Pee-wee 50 and learned to ride, and I just like riding bikes. So lucky enough, I was quick enough that I could make a career out of it, and I still get to ride these cool bikes. So, you know, it's that's me. That's motorbikes. I don't do it for a living anymore, but I ride bikes 2 or 3 times a week. Dirt bikes, adventure bikes, road bikes, whatever it is. You know, anything on 2 wheels, I'm having fun.
And you were saying this is your first time in Adelaide? Yeah, so give us impressions of not only this event, but also this track.
The track was a little bit tight. I've got to say that thing there is used to doing 330, 350 k's an hour. We're not doing that around here, so it's pretty tight. So it was a bit of work. I'm still sweating from when I was just out there, but so's Magee, but he's just old. That's his reason. But no, it's a great event. Really excited to be here. Really excited that the bikes, they're involving the bikes in such a cool car meeting. But some fantastic bits of equipment around, 4 wheels and 2, and the access for everyone. You know, just sitting over there in the bike area and the amount of people that come through and can touch the bikes and look at them and take photos. I think it's a really cool event.
Oh, absolutely. And Kevin, when we first met at the street party on Friday, look, you did make quite a funny joke, and you said that Chris Vermeulen's never worked a day in his life. That's what you said. Do you still think that's true after seeing how much he's sweating right now?
Well, I won the bet, didn't I? And everybody agreed with me, so I guess I was right the first time.
And obviously 36 Grand Prix appearances, won the 1988 Spanish Grand Prix. Where did it all begin for you? Where did the love come from?
Well, I'll tell you, the ground zero was when we moved off a big farm outside of Horsham, and the 3 youngest boys of the family, me being the youngest, then Tim and then Damien. Damien was a bit of a engineering sort of fella, and he wanted a mini bike, so he got one of the old, I think it was a 2.5 horsepower Briggs and Stratton, and his mates at school's dad had the Jag dealership and the engine workshop and the welding shop and all that. So he made a mini bike out of water pump, and I reckon he knocked off a couple of 4008 wheelbarrow wheels from a building site, cobbled a mini bike together, and one Sunday afternoon the old man got sick of us trying to sort of ride it and get it going, and he went around to the Honda dealer, knocked on his door and come home with a Honda 70 DAX, the ST70 for the 3 of us. And that was it. End of story. Grade 4, 10 years old.
It's like I'm just sitting with a friend talking about the good old days, like on a Sunday afternoon. Like, this just feels... I can't believe I'm able
you know,
to
you said we were the voice of MotoGP, so for those that don't know, Kev and I worked together for, I don't know, he was at Fox Sports for about 35 years. I was there for about 7. We worked, and it was the same. When we did the TV, Charlie, he'd just tell you a story like that. It would just come out of nowhere. The producer had no idea what was going on. It was live TV, and Magee's off on a tangent, and that's the way it was.
Well, how do you just let him go, and it always comes back to something relevant?
You let him go, and eventually it comes back to relevance, and you go, that's the point he was trying to make. So he's good fun, though. He's good fun.
And I think the thing with motorcycles, and that's why we all ride them, is it's just a sense of freedom. You know, there's you in the world. There's nothing. You're not thinking about your problems. You're not thinking about whatever. You're thinking about you and the bike and riding it. And it's just like a solemn experience. And it's just nothing better, I reckon.
That's fantastic. What about when it rains, though? Because I talk to drivers all the time, and even talking to Jack Perkins this morning, he was like, "Yes, it's raining." Like, do you guys do that?
I love it.
Oh yeah.
Because
just shaking his head.
When I first started racing the 250s, there's always faster bikes. I'm on a 250 Proddy, so when it rained, it's like, yeah, let's go, because you could get the advantage of the bigger bikes and the other guys if you were a bit brave and not quite dumb in the wet.
Wow,
I told you he had a screw loose.
you warned me.
I think it's more than one, but yeah, more than one screw loose.
But I was actually chatting to someone just before, and they said, "Look, I know Chris Vermeulen because they couldn't recall the race. I apologise, but they said there was a time where it was a torrential rain, and it was a fantastic result, and they was like, that's how I know Chris Vermeulen."
There was a few of them. I had a few podiums in MotoGP. I think 7 or 8, and I think 3 of them were in the wet, and the one that means the most to me was my only Grand Prix win, and that was in Le Mans in France. And it was, pissing down with rain, basically. It started dry. We had to come in, change bikes. So we don't change tyres like the cars. Change bikes, get over, and got one up. But if you want to talk about GP wins, we should say, there's a couple of guys at the front here that we should mention. They're looking away now. Jeremy Burgess and Paul Tracy. Guys, anyone that comes to the bike tent as well, we've got some real royalty here. So I know Kev won 1 GP, I've won 1. Between these guys, they've won about 200, I think. So
everyone, hands together. That's amazing work.
It's fantastic, and we're lucky enough these guys still get to work on our bikes, So Jeremy Burgess, an Adelaide local, and Paul Tracy's come over from New Zealand, but he won races with Wayne Rainey and Jeremy, obviously, these Honda record, and then moving on with Valentino to Yamaha. But it's funny, these guys working on these older bikes, they're reminiscing, and they're working out why the Honda was better in its day or the Yamaha was better in its day. And it's quite, for me, they're iconic, and it's quite funny to watch.
And Kevin, that as you said, motorbikes, it's part of you, isn't it? Yeah. Like it's just something that brings so many people together. And you get lifelong friendships out of, even though you're competing, this is incredible that you get to surround yourself like this.
Yeah, that's right. And the funniest thing by doing these demonstrations and festivals here in Australia and New Zealand, JB used to be the Rothmans Honda, Paul Tracy used to be Lucky Strike's Yamaha with me. And then there's these weekends we do, and you see them all working together on the Yamaha or the Aprilia or whatever, when they used to be at loggerheads for 25 points on Sunday afternoon at the Grand Prix, and now they're laughing and joking and looking at the bikes and fixing problems and stuff, because you do get a few problems with the old bikes, obviously, just with age.
And talk to us about, favourite moments, highlights of apart from working with this beautiful gentleman, highlights of the career. He looked at me like I was crazy then.
Well, winning 1 Grand Prix, at least I won 1, and that was that. But that was great. But to win the Suzuka 8 Hour in 1987, that was really good, because I had to do 2 double stints. One, I did a double at the start, not being told, Warren Willing and Glenn Willing. They changed the plan after the start.
Should we tell everyone what a stint is? You do about an hour on the bike, don't you? So
about 50 minutes is a stint. So I started with new tyres, and then...
So it's an 8-hour endurance race, 1 bike, generally 2 riders, and they share the time. But Magee was the quicker guy, so he did a bit more. So
Warren decided after the start that they'd just fuel me, not change the tyres, because I started on new tyres, just fuel me. And Glenn's pushing me on the back, sending him out, and I'm trying to get off the bike to let Martin Wimmer on. And anyway, I'll make it a bit shorter than it was. So that happened. Martin did his stint after me, my double on brand new tyres. Then I did 2 single stints in between. So Martin did 3 singles. I did 2 doubles and 2 singles. And Warren was really nice to me. Coming in for the last stint, like the last 50 minutes in the dark, Warren said to me, "I'll give you a new tyre for this last stint." "Oh, right, oh, beauty, good on you, thanks." But you've got to do the double session.
Oh.
And the rule is it finishes in the dark, and you can't finish the race with a dark visor. You'll get it disqualified. So I said, "We've got to change the visor." And he goes, "I already did." Just like he changed the plan at the start of the race, after the race, for me to do double stints. So ended up winning that one, but did, like, Warren had it calculated out to like 65.9% of the 66% of the time on the bike you're allowed to do. And we won it. And the funniest part, the guys that come second, Gary Goodfellow from Canada, he said, "Oh, geez, you were lucky today." Keep in mind, it was 37 degrees and 98% humidity. And I spent 5 hours, 38 minutes it was, I think, at qualifying pace. And he said I was lucky, and I sort of thought, well, don't know what happened.
I'll give you luck.
So that was a cracker. Then I won a World TT Formula 1 championship race at Sugo in Japan. And then in the later days, in the early 90s, I won a couple of superbike races. So I'm actually the only guy that's won in all 4 major classes: GP, World Superbike, TT Formula One, and World Endurance. So that's kind of a feather in the cap.
Oh, yes, yeah. Big round of applause. Go, Magee. That is absolutely stellar career. So, Chris, apart from this gentleman to your left, who's your inspirations?
Inspirations. I got to say, when I grew up being an Aussie, you know, you're a Mick Doohan fan, but for me it was I was a Wayne Rainey fan. He was American, and when Wayne was winning his world championships, he was my idol and my inspiration. And Paul Tracy actually worked with Wayne while JB next to him was working with Mick Doohan. So that's the history we've got here. But that was my era. So I was born in the early 80s and watching those guys through the early 90s, it was fantastic. Yeah.
And I'd really love, I've been speaking to so many different people today, and a lot of it is how do I get involved? How do I forge careers? How do I love motorsport and want to be a part of it? So what's your advice?
Well, it's changed a lot since our time, and it's because of the whole world has with sports, and everything comes on a lot younger. But Motorcycling Australia are doing fantastic things now. They've got these junior classes that are relatively inexpensive. It's very inexpensive from motorsport point of view. And you get on little 150 Yamahas, they're one make series. Don't quote me the age, but maybe from about 10 or 11 years old. You're road racing at the Australian Championship level, and the progression steps are there. If you do well in these junior classes, you can go through to other parts of Asia, maybe into Europe, and then if you're good enough into Grand Prix, Moto 3, Moto 2, and like what everyone does now. That's where Marc Marquez came from. It's where Danny Pedrosa was probably one of the first that sort of come through one of those processes. So it's been it works, and there's lots of opportunities for young guys if they're interested, guys and girls, I should say, because we've got some fantastic young girls in motorcycling now, and the options are there. Yep.
And Kevin Magee, I need to ask your advice, because my son's been karting, and now he seems to be leaning towards 2 wheels, and he's
Good boy.
Yeah. So as a mother, I'm a bit concerned. It's a bit dangerous. So what advice would you give me and my son wanting to head towards a two-wheeled life?
It'd be a good coaching company, business or whatever, and a bit of track time. Give him a taste of it, see how he likes it. That'd be the best way. Go ride something. So what Chris was talking about, everywhere around the world used to be independent, and you just sort of ended up where you ended up because you were that good. But now there's been all these pathways created pretty much through all the countries and states and territories where you can sort of be funneled into the Asia Talent Cup, and then you can make it to the Red Bull Rookies in Spain, and then get into the Moto GP World Championship. So it's all the sort of devices have been put in place for that to happen. So we just got to find out where ground level is, and that's get the little tacker on something as a test ride.
All right, I'll start saving me pennies.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us, but please join me in thanking these absolute legends on 2 wheels, Chris Vermeulen and Kevin Magee.
Thank you.